Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Last time we left off with no rationing gasoline here, showing some French civilians after the Germans were kicked out of Paris, taking the leftover gasoline that they had. We're now on to French general who took Paris. August 25th, 1944. Leader of the FFI. General Jacques Leclerc, with some of his French soldiers. The surrender of the German commander at Paris to this soldier of France was a climax to march to Paris, climax a march to Paris, which had begun in February 1941. Then they left Fort Lamy near Lake Chad in French Equatorial Africa, crossed the Sahara, and fought in North Africa, Italy, and finally returned to Paris in triumph. Yeah, the French, it was very important, at least according the way the book shows it, at least, it was very important that a French general took Paris, or at least what they're trying to tell people. Oh, well, it was a French general that did it. And the reason that would be is because it shows the French people, look, we're taking it back. They can't take France from us. Now, nowadays, a lot of people make fun of France, like, oh, they surrendered so easy. But, well, the government did. The people did not. The people never surrendered France. They knew one day they would take her back. And they did, right here. The tricolor flies over Notre Dame. August 26th, 1944. A famous church looks down on war. Notre Dame Cathedral, spared in the First World War, is the background for conflict in the Second World War. The burned-out German truck in the foreground, almost at the cathedral's front door, was left by Germans as they fled from the fury of the French patriots. During the heavy 2 days fighting, which preceded the entry of the Allies into the French capital. There was heavy sniper firing about the cathedral when de Gaulle attended services on the day of liberation. What a beautiful church. I know obviously a few years ago it burnt quite a bit down, and then funnily enough, they used Assassin's Creed Unity because of how in-depth Ubisoft built that game to actually help with the reconstruction of Notre Dame. And it's very great. It's sad that the cathedral originally ever burned down, but it's glad that they built it back. And it is a beautiful cathedral. Action in Paris before the liberation. August 1944. Panic in the capital. At the picture in the top, bending low and scurrying for cover, frightened Parisians try to escape the bullets whistling down from rooftop sniper nests. Panic resigned as street fighting broke up the official reception to General Charles de Gaulle on his arrival in the capital. In the picture at the right, members of the French forces of the interior sniped from a window at the prefecture of police during the rioting. As one man fires a submachine gun, another crouches beside him, reloading. A comrade covers them from the rear with a revolver as Frenchmen fought to wrest their capital from the Germans. So you can see you got this man, which they said that's a submachine gun. I don't know how true that is. That kind of looks like a Bren gun, which is more of not a submachine gun, but more of a light machine gun. You have this other man reloading for him, and then once again they got this wrong. They said, oh, that's a revolver. That is not a revolver. That looks more like a 1911, actually. I could be wrong. Somebody might be able to correct me, but that looks a lot like a 1911. Or maybe I don't think it was, maybe a Browning high power. It's possible, I guess. Can't remember if they were in this war or not. Someone will have to, once again, correct me in the comments. But that looks a lot like a 1911, not like a revolver. Come on out with your hands up. August 25th, 1944. A good day's catch. 56 German prisoners of war come out with their hands in the air to give themselves up to an American sergeant, who used his fluent German to talk them into surrendering. He was under the impression that he was talking to a small group. In the picture below, German prisoners, 10,000 strong, line up for their lunch at an enclosure in liberated France. Yeah, you're getting to the point where a lot of Germans are just going to start surrendering because they'd rather live. A lot of Germans are seeing the writing on the wall. They're not going to win this war, and they kind of know it. Especially the soldiers. Now, the people back home, they still think things are fine. Not necessarily fine, but that they've got it under control. But they do not have anything under control right now. Off to join in the fight for democracy. August 1944. The French come out in the open. It's kind of funny. It says fighting for democracy, but none of these are direct democracies that are fighting for them right now. They're either republics or authoritarian dictatorships in the Soviet Union. Rifles slung over their backs, 4 citizen soldiers of France leave their homes to join the swelling force of France. Fighting in the open after years of balking the Nazis through their activities in the underground. Among the group they might join are the Maquis and the FPTP, French Partisan Franc Tireses. Don't know how to say the last word, but yeah, a lot of the underground soldiers are going to come up. They're going to try to fight with the soldiers. Now, there's a small problem with them. It's not their fault, but the one problem is a lot of these people have been fighting under themselves or things like that. So when you bring it into a military conflict, there was some clash with the militaries a little bit because a lot of these people haven't been trained for military command, things like that. And so there's a little bit of friction between them. Now, it's not going to really hamper too many things, but it is a problem that they did have at this point. Because these people were not military members, they do have some clash with the militaries. An American officer and his prize catch. August 25th, 1944. Bringing in the prisoners. After being captured by a German patrol, Lieutenant Clarence E. Coggins convinced a German major that escape from the Allies was impossible. The major then released the lieutenant to arrange terms of surrender with his superiors. Here, his prisoners marched through Pont de Calais, just south of Grenoble, on their way to train and internment. On the way to the train, my bad. Yeah, he wasn't wrong. He actually probably saved these guys, really, because there's no escaping the Allies. They're coming. You're not going to stop them. And it would honestly be better for a lot of them to be captured by an American or even a British, rather than try to escape back to Germany and be put on the Eastern Front with the Soviets. Nobody wants to be with the Soviets. They're pretty brutal in how they treat prisoners. Understandably so, but still, it was really bad how they treated those guys. Balloon projection against the robot bomb. August 1944. A trap for the Nazi secret weapon. During the 80-day attack of the flying bomb, Britain marshaled 2,000 barrage balloons to protect London and southern England. Stretched as far as the eye can see, is this barrage the greatest that was ever put into the air. The balloons accounted for almost 300 of the 8,000 bombs launched by the enemy. So, yeah, you can see all of these barge balloons. That's a lot. It probably still is the largest showing of barge balloons. Not balloons ever, but barge balloons, which are quite a bit bigger and a little different here. But, you know, it says almost 300 of the 8,000 bombs, but that's really not that much. If they're saying what I think they're saying, which is that only 300 of these barge balloons actually stopped the bombs. 8,000 for like the 300 versus 8,000, that's not really that good of a number. I mean, it is good that some of those bombs didn't hit land, obviously. But the effectiveness of this barge is not really showing much for what it's supposed to be doing. Guarding England's shipping lanes. August 1944. His Majesty's Sea Forts. As the 5th year of the war drew to a close, the English government disclosed one of its best-kept secrets. For some time, sea forts, such as pictured above and below, had been guarding Britain's shipping lanes along both the Channel and East coasts. The forts were constructed ashore and then towed to sea and sunk on sandbanks. They were manned by army personnel and possessed adequate living accommodations. Designed primarily to guard against mine-laying planes, the forts formed a line of defense against any invasion attempt. Above are 7 forts joined by catwalks. Below is the sea fort Not John, which was manned by Royal Marines. No information was released as to the exact location of the installations pictured. Now, today we probably know. I do not know where these are, and I couldn't tell you. But I have a feeling that some of these became, there's that autonomous region, Sealand, or not Sealand, but something like that, off the coast of Britain. One of these actually is probably that now. But, yeah, these are something that is not really talked about very much. And most of the things I've seen of World War II, which is quite a lot at this point, but I don't hear these being talked about as much, which is interesting. But they are, if they say they're effective, they probably are. It gives an idea of if enemies are coming by boat or by plane. You can give call-outs to the Royal Air Force, or if they have decent guns, which, I mean, it's a decent gun. There's some anti-aircraft weapons, it looks like. You could probably put up a decent enough defense. Now, would you stop an enemy attack? Maybe not, but you could at least slow it down enough for air support or other ships to get into range, and then you would be way better off. So these things are definitely invaluable, I would say. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a comment. Tell me what I can improve upon. I always appreciate your feedback. And as always, subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Thank you.